Hi everyone. Welcome to I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren, and this video is here to take a look at how this month's portal energy, working with the master number 11 in numerology, combined with the energy of the eclipses that have been happening. We had one lunar eclipse last month and a second solar eclipse paired with a new moon this month in June, and how this portal between our eclipses is working with the numerological number of 11 with the month of June to help open a portal for each one of us uniquely to move through as a more evolved, spiritually evolved version of ourselves. Now, I will take a look at each one of the signs and go into a special message for you to really take a look at what you will need to release to be able to walk through this portal that Spirit is kind of holding open for you to really see the next step in your evolutionary growth. And what does that look like? That looks like a higher level of emotional fulfillment, more ease and being authentic to yourself, the ability to work with your signs' unique energies in conjunction with your unique spiritual abilities, hopes, and dreams. So you can combine these two to really unlock the abundance that is waiting for you on the other side of this doorway. And before I get into the actual readings for you guys, you can click on the timestamp in the link below, in the description box below, to actually see the readings for your specific sign. But I did pull a overarching kind of another message for all of us as a collective for what we really need to release to walk through this portal energy of June, to be able to step in July into the best versions of ourselves, into the selves that are really going to prepare for the second half of this year to really take full advantage of the actualization energy of 2022, which is coming up, in which we will be able to really step into our seat of personal power, as long as we really work with awareness for the second half of this year to unlock our own unique abilities and to understand where they fit into the greater picture with everybody else's. So the message that came up was surrender to setting limits. And it says, it is healthy to set boundaries in relationships, practice expressing your needs, and remember that no is a complete sentence. And this is a hard lesson. This is one of the hardest lessons for myself to learn, and I am still in the process of learning this one. But surrender to setting limits means surrender the fear of having to say no, of having to be afraid to express what you really need. Because as we move forward into this next bigger version of ourselves, we're really going to become aware of what we need. And to understand that our needs are unique and different from the needs of everybody else. And that's a really core, I think, fundamental, I don't know if I'd say idea, but it's a fundamental perspective of really understanding that there are no two people on this earth whose needs are going to be exactly the same. And when we're talking about needs, we're talking about all aspects of our lives: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so one person's perspective on what they need in certain areas is going to be very different from another's. And this is really about this month specifically bringing you back to what you need. Bringing you back to the awareness of your unique abilities, your unique spiritual makeup, and the dreams and the desires that come with that. And those make up your needs. One person might have the ability to do something that requires a different set of needs. You know, somebody may have a very stressful job and they need more downtime on the weekends and in the evenings. Somebody may need more creative time because they are, they work in a creative field. You may need more alone time. You may need more time with interacting with people. It is all unique to us. There are people who need to focus more on their physical health and well-being because that actually transcends and moves through all their aspects of their life. When they look good, they also feel good. And they think good and think well. And so this is really about, I think, tapping in. This really, really highlights that element of this month, which is highlighting that number 11. And that number 11 looks like a number 1 and a number 1 side by side, really showing you the dynamic between yourself as a unique individual and the relationship to everybody else as their own unique individual, and understanding that it is okay to be your unique self. It is okay to express that. It is okay to have different needs in this person and to express those needs and to have those and to expect that those needs are met, as it is to respect that in everybody else and in your interpersonal relationships, and to understand that that is the dynamic that is constantly at play, and that you have to understand yourself before you can start to relate to others in a healthy, positive, and uplifting and elevating way. And that's what this month is pushing us to do. It's pushing us to come back to ourselves, to respect that we can set limits for ourselves. We can ask for our personal needs to be met, but we first have to understand what those are. And in order to do that, we have to understand ourselves. And then we can step through that door as a better version of that self. All right, guys, I hope you have a great month reconnecting with your unique self, reconnecting with all of those things that make you a special, divine being, a singularity among everyone else. And also that you see how in just getting back to being that best version of yourself and walking through this portal month with awareness, that in the coming months you'll understand that in just doing that, you are elevating the entire collective experience and truly being of service on a level that most of us only dream about feeling. All right, guys. Click on one of the timestamps in the description box below to see a very special message for your reading. I'm sorry, a very special, for your reading, for your sign. All right, bye guys. I will see you later in the month for additional messages. Bye. Hello, all my lovely Tauruses, and welcome to your June new moon 2021 portal reading. So the new moon is on June 10th. It should be coming right up around when this video posts. And this reading is really to show you what you as an individual, but more specifically your sign, is being asked to release to be able to step through this 11/11 portal that happens with the new moon on June 10th and then moving into June 11th. And really being able to step through this new portal as a fresh and heightened version of your individual self, but in conjunction with your sign's key attributes. So it is my belief that every one of us has specific astrological placements in our chart, specifically in our sun, moon, and rising positions, that really we were meant to honor and utilize and bring forth into the greater collective experience, along with then our individual abilities and hopes and dreams and experiences. And so this month is one of those beautiful energetic doorways where we get to see what our destiny truly is. This is a glimpse into if we decide to be courageous enough, to be curious enough to see what we need to release, to be curious enough to take a look at our unique selves and become aware of really where we are now with that in the present moment. And then to be able to look forward, to say, okay, I am able to release some aspect of my experience currently, to be able to walk forward as a fresh and heightened version. This is really that time where we're asked to learn from past lessons and to release past hurts and wounds and to move forward as an integrated being. So we can take those past lessons and hurts and wounds and not leave them behind, but elevate them into this is a part of ourselves that now is going to color and shape how we get to utilize the energy we were gifted with at birth, which is your unique sign placements. So the way that this reading is set up is we have your energy that you're currently sitting with now. We have your doorway, your portal, and the energy around that, which is what you're being kind of asked to work with as you step into then what's coming forward on this other side. So this is going to be your reality, your kind of glimpse into, if you choose to release, you can move forward into this heightened version of yourself. Down here we have 3 cards, one for curiosity, one for courage, and one for contemplation. We are utilizing the triad of engagement here to really help unlock the doorway that you're being asked to step through. And what is the triad of engagement? Well, the triad of engagement is a tool that I have developed that I use in my private practice to help people become more aware of their internal, unique spiritual selves and how best to engage that with their external environment so that they can move away from a place of fear and anxiety towards their external environment and bring this back to a place of personal power by understanding that your seat of control is really your ability to become aware and work with your internal gifts. And so we will go into each one of these, and then we will move forward into then looking at this is why Spirit is asking you to release something, why Spirit's asking you to be courageous as you move through this doorway, because this is going to be what you're dealing with on a heightened spiritual, evolutionary way. All right, so let's jump right in here. So Taurus, right off the bat, your 2 main underlying energies are the Empress on one side of the door, so this is your current side, and then we have the 6 of Wands on the other. So the Empress really is your card, Taurus. It is a card that it focuses on abundance. It focuses on harnessing the power of the planet of Venus, which is linked to both Libra and your sign, the sign of Taurus. And I think it's beautiful. It's, right now with the energy that you're sitting with, I can see that it's not a bad energy. But right off the bat, with understanding that your doorway here, the energy that you're working with is yin and yang. It's a balance of masculine and feminine energies with the master number 22, which is the number of the master architect, the builder. 2 is a number, it's basically 2 is the lower version of the number 11 in that 1 + 1 reduces to 2. And 2 is a number of interpersonal connections and relationships to others. But then when you bring that up to a master number, which is the master number 22, that is the ultimate. When we say architect, what I mean is that you are able to really build strong relationships and build in the tangible world, build in the physical world, be able to manifest what you hope and wish and dream for yourself, but in conjunction with others. That Taurus, you're not being asked to be a lone wolf, is what I'm feeling here. But what I'm seeing, which is interesting, is we have a lot of kind of more feminine, slower feminine receptive energy on this side of the doorway. And we are moving more into taking a look at balancing that out with I wouldn't say overt masculine energy, but with being put in a position to change your perspective to make it a little bit more external. So right now you're sitting with very internal energy. The Queen of Swords, so first we have the Empress. The Empress is about abundance. The Empress is the number 3 card in the major arcana, and it really denotes you being able to harness that power of creativity. That if you need to manifest something in your life, you have that ability to give birth to it. Whether it is a physical child or whether it's a project or you name it. But there is this kind of element of tapping into feminine energy, which feminine energy is more receptive. It's still being creative, but creative from being able to receive energy and then create from it, instead of masculine energy, which is more external energy, being able to take in, but then push forward. So we create movement forward instead of receiving, as we do with feminine energy. And we have the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is really, it's linked to air energy, which are, linked to your thoughts. But there is this quality to the Queen of Swords where she has kind of been through it all. She has a story to tell, and that story is one in which she has learned her limits, and she has the ability to really not be hurt by many things moving forward at this point. It's kind of like when you've met somebody who said, man, yeah, I was down and out and multiple times in my life, and I had to go through this and I had to go through that, and this is what I've learned, and now nothing can really touch me because I've been at my lowest point multiple times. And that kind of is what the Queen of Swords, the energy that is with that. So she can sit with her story, she can sit with the knowledge of her past and be in this place of power, but she's not openly going out and seeking. This is more of a receptive energy. She will share her story with you. She will ask that you come and listen to her story, but it is not that she's going out and blabbing her story to everybody. It's that she's waiting for those who want to hear it to come to her. And so again, there's this element of kind of receptivity of her knowing her past and being confident in that past. And then we have the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands, although linked to action and passion, is also a card of waiting. It's a card of building the structure. So you have 3 wands, but then waiting to see what comes in. The traditional depiction of the Three of Wands in the Rider-Waite Tarot is basically somebody standing on a cliff's edge looking out at the ocean. And it is bringing in that feeling of waiting for your ships to come in. And so again, even though you are working with your passions and you're working with this energy of action, it's still in a receptive waiting period, coupled with the Prince of Pentacles. And the Prince of Pentacles in this deck is the Knight of Pentacles in the traditional tarot. And the Knight of Pentacles is, I always associate it with Virgo, but it's a card of slow moving, very carefully planned action in the tangible, in the physical world. So this would be a card of the person who loves lists. And you're check marking off each one. And the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving of all the knights in the deck because he is the planner. He is not going to waste time or energy going out and frivolously planting his pentacles. He's going to have his pentacles and he wants to plant them like seeds, wants to plant them in an organized fashion, wants to have a plan. But again, there's this element of, yes, that is moving forward, but it's the slowest moving forward out of all of the nights. So there is this element of slowness and receptivity and waiting happening right now in your current situation. And really what you're being asked with the energy of your portal here is to balance that with more masculine energy. There needs to be a balance between both. And Taurus is, in general, a slow-moving sign. We do like to be careful planners. We do like to, obviously, this is one of the cards that works with Taurus in the tarot, which again denotes that we can kind of sit back and create for ourselves. We are a sign that's associated with springtime and, the rebirth. But there is also that component to us where we can get very comfortable in our routines because we are a fixed sign. And so even though we are creating, even though we understand that we have this ability to work with passion and wait for what's going to come in, sometimes we can get so stuck in just wanting to keep the routine that we miss our kind of the window of time for when we need to move a little faster, for when maybe we don't need to have every box checked and every essay edited 4 times over. There is a time sometimes when we need to go out into the world to share our experience, when we need to push a little bit more. And that's what I'm seeing here, is that there's this element of we are being asked, and I say we because I am a Taurus sun sign, so I do understand this energy. But the sign of Taurus in general is being asked right now to come out of your shell, to come out of hiding, and to connect with others from a balanced place, to be able to bring your current receptive energy, but into relationship with masculine energy, to start moving forward, to start taking action on your stories and experience, on the passions you've been working with, on what you've been working with giving birth, or what you're trying to bring into your reality. And Taurus as a sign is kind of going through a shakeup over the next few years. The planet Uranus has entered the sign of Taurus, and the planet Uranus is the sign of revolutionary change. And that being in the sign of Taurus is kind of a, it's a difficult placement, in that Taurus is generally not a sign that likes change, but we are being asked to do that. So anyone who has been born with Taurus as part of your sun, moon, or rising signs, you're being asked to step now into your birthright, to utilize the gifts of Taurus, which do really focus on, bringing in the energy of Venus, which is the feminine energy, the energies of beauty, being able to create from that space, but also being able to be stable, being able to tap into a spiritual side to the greater experience. Taurus, another card that's associated with Taurus in the tarot is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is all about the current structures. What is, what we accept as acceptable in our culture and society. And that can be seen as organized religion, our political structures that we have in place. It can be even down to what you as an individual have set in place and see as acceptable for yourself. And so really that aspect of our experience is being shaken up through the sign of Taurus. Meaning that we, as a fixed sign, are meant to kind of go through this spiritual evolution, this evolution of being able to break down our own fixed beliefs, fixed structures so that then we can be an example to the greater collective of how to best deal with change and be able to break down some of these accepted structures to allow for new growth, to allow for new structures to be built. Like, we can't just go into chaos. We have to break down while we are building, while we are working with others to build something better. And on the other side of this portal, we have the Knight of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Two of Wands, the Hanged Man, and then finally the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is a card of success. It's a card of being recognized by both your peers, but also harnessing that internal feeling of, I've done it. I've worked with my passions and I've taken action, and now I have something to show for that, and I'm being recognized for that. So you kind of are being asked to go from this internal, creating your own reality and being a little bit more quiet and receptive into yourself, and you're being asked now to step through the portal and engage that with others so that you can achieve this level of recognition. Now, the Knight of Cups is the kind of the hopeless romantic. So he's a knight as well, just like the Knight of Pentacles over here. But the Knight of Cups is about moving forward from a place of a true hopeless romanticism. He is the one who is going to go on feeling. He is going to, if it seems to feel good and it seems in the moment that this is going to be his, what's going to make him feel romantic and excited about life, well, that's where he's going to go. And sometimes we're scared to act from that place because it's a truly vulnerable place. We'd rather be sitting in this kind of energy of, these are my stories, and this is the way it is, and I'm strong in that. But unfortunately, what can happen is when we decide when we decide to stay in this energy, we can become jaded. We can become that person who is constantly sharing that story of hurt or pain and relating that across the board. So because I was hurt in love, all relationships are bad. Because I had a bad work experience, all work on this level is bad. Because I had a bad relationship with my mother, all relationships with mothers are bad. And it becomes this almost over application of your personal experience that ends up coloring your entire perspective. And what you're being asked to do now is to release that, to surrender to being a little vulnerable, to coming through this portal and reconnecting with the romance of life again, reconnecting with what makes Taurus a beautiful sign, which is connected to Venus, and it is connected to beauty and love and springtime. And it's going to help because the Four of Cups is the next card directly here. And the Four of Cups depicts somebody who has three cups in front of them, and they're discontent with those three cups. They're looking at these three cups like, ugh, so this is it. When there is a fourth cup being handed to them kind of magically by the universe. And how I read this card in this setting here is that it will, by bringing in the energy of the Knight of Cups, is going to help you to realize that you have that cup with you. Because the Knight of Cups carries his one full cup, and he is ready to bring that full cup, which cups are about emotions. And this is our direct link to being able to understand that at any given time, we have a full cup. Our cup runneth over because it is always filled by our connection to the divine. And we have to remember that sometimes. We forget that emotional fulfillment comes from within. and from our direct connection to our own individuality and to the beauty of life. It is not for us to get externally. And so this is kind of showing to me that it's time to go back out into life, that if you choose to release this element of I'm safe, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, I'm making my plans, that you're being asked to say, okay, it's time. You've made your plans. You've waited long enough. And in order to not let your ships go by, you need to walk through this portal and start coming back into relationship with others. And you need to show your cup. You need to show this beautiful wellspring of emotional abundance that you have. You need to be able to be an example to others as to what it's like to see the beauty in life and to create from that space. Tauruses are very good at being able to not only create organization and structure, but also to create from a place of beauty. So that you can be a designer. You can allow people to tap into the beauty of nature. And that's our gift. And as we're kind of clearing that energy of getting back into, okay, this is the gift of emotional fulfillment, which is us. It's not us waiting for the external environment to come in and provide us with this cup. We have that cup. And the universe is asking us to take it and to start working with it. To take the cup we're being given and to be the Knight of Cups and to go on our quest with our cup to see who we can share it with. And then we have the Two of Wands and the Hanged Man. And the Two of Wands can denote travel. It actually links very well, nicely to the Knight of Cups, where it's almost like you're being asked to make a choice right now from a place of passion and action. You're being asked to make a choice as to which way you want to go. Which version, and you can kind of see here, there's a globe. And she has the two wands and she's kind of chosen her one wand and is looking out. And that's what the two wands really focuses on. It focuses on the energy of being able to have two choices between the reality that you want. You can sit with this version where you work with these passions and you want this kind of, manifestation of life, or you can have the other. And so this portal is really asking you that as you move through it and you come out the other side ready to share from an emotionally vulnerable place and to be an example to others as to engaging with the beauty of life, that you're being asked to make that decision. Are you ready to go on that journey? And what does your version of a beautiful life look like to you? And it's time to set out on that journey. And as you do, we have the Hanged Man here. And the Hanged Man is a beautiful card. I love the energy of the Hanged Man, especially because it's associated with the number 12 in the major arcana. And for me, the number 12 is the number that I associate with the divine design. It directly links to the number 3. And there is, again, this triad component of perfection, of And this is really where the Hanged Man kind of comes in. It allows us to see from a different perspective, to see something perhaps that we had missed previously, and to see the perfection even in the imperfection. That the divine design, the intelligent design that is underlying everything is truly perfect, even if we can't see the perfection in it at that moment. And so really what this is showing me here is that by stepping in and saying, yes, I am going to go on this journey towards what I believe is a life of beauty and perfection for myself. I'm going to be asked to see things from a different perspective, and I'm going to be able to see them now from a different perspective. I'm going to be able to see the divinity in everything and be able to express that beauty. And it's like you're being given this chance to have this divine pause before setting out fully to be recognized. This is going to be a really, I think, powerful month, but a month of just getting back out there. We come back down to the Triad of Engagement. So the Triad of Engagement, we're going to take a look at a card for curiosity, a card for courage, and a card for contemplation. And your card, so this really is focusing on what you need to surrender, what you need to release. And for curiosity is where we start to become curious again as to, okay, if I release this side to myself, then what are the possibilities that are going to come into me? If I release, then what will I receive? And yours is surrender fear. It says, let go of the fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment, focus on solutions, and celebrate every baby step forward. And I think that this ties in beautifully to this element of kind of wanting to stay very structured. We don't want to go out into the world and possibly get back into this romantic sensibility where we can be hurt again, where we've been hurt in the past and we can tell those tales. But now it's time to release that, to understand that that will always be a part of you, and that is where your strength comes from. And yes, you can still plan. You can still be the stable, plodding Taurus, but now it's time to go out and harness a new energy. To be able to show others. You're being asked right now to step into being a spiritual warrior. But what's lovely is that you're not being asked to go out and tear down giant structures and to be this warrior where it's coming from an aggressive place. What you're being asked to do is simply come into relationship with others and to show them the beauty of life, to show them that there is another choice, there is another way, that others may be choosing this direction, this view of life, but you have your own to share. And that place is coming from the beautiful full cup, the romantic sensibility, the tapping into the beauty of life and tapping into the divinity behind the grander design of everything. And that even in what is not perfect, there is perfection. And that is what you will then end up gaining recognition for. That is where your sign is needed to bring forth for basically the second half of this year, for you to work with that energy. But also so that moving into 2022, which is really a year of actualization, of activation and actualization of our new spiritual path and destiny, that you're being asked to work with this beautiful energy now and to start being an example in your own life in harnessing this energy and showing others this additional worldview, so that come 2022 you are really able to step into a leadership position to show others in your life as an example what it's like when you live with the beauty of life, what it's like when you see the beauty in everything, and what it's like when you come emotionally vulnerable and open into relationships with others. And we have, as your point of courage, we have the card that says orphaned. And this card is all about actually, I'm going to read, no, I'm not going to read it. It's a long description, but the card itself is about feeling out of place and realizing that the way to find your place is by being authentic to yourself. And that in being authentic to yourself, when you are in relationship to others, you will attract those people to you that want to hear your stories, that want to see the beauty of life, that want to engage with you and are not going to look to change you, are not going to look to push you out and make you feel like you are not part of something. And so the point of courageous action is to be true to yourself. Is that as you walk through this doorway, to not hide behind your stories, to not hide behind the process, to not hide behind, well, I'm just waiting for something to happen, so I'm not really going to share this part of myself just yet. Instead, what you're being asked to do is to surrender that fear. Release the fear of allowing others to see your truest self. And you're being asked to put yourself into situations where you will be in relationship with others, where you'll get to share your stories, share your experiences, and to share your talents because they're needed. And ironically enough, as we move into contemplation, we have relationships. And it says relationships are just mirror images of your own life. How you feel and treat yourself, as well as how you react and respond to different situations and people around you. Be aware that every relationship is an opportunity for soul growth. And I think that this is a great point of contemplation, where you can really, this is your point of integration here, and self-learning, to take a look at your previous relationships and how maybe you've acted in the past, and maybe the stories that you've told and the perception that you have. And it could be that you look back at past relationships and you always had to hide a part of yourself, or that you always weren't able to quite be yourself because you were being told it wasn't good enough, or you were never given the space to do that. And now you can have different relationships by changing. I love that it says relationships are just mirror images of your own life. So if you choose to go out and live as your authentic self, and you surrender fear of judgment, you surrender fear of something not working out again the way that it has in the past, and you move forward authentically, knowing that it is through your interpersonal connections that you can help build the view of reality that you need to show to the greater collective. That the more you are your true self, the more you are going to have relationships that come in and mirror that and support that and grow that. Because then you move into your brief glimpse into the destiny that you're moving towards. And we have Merkaba, spiritual protection, number 25, and we have past life activation, number 35. And I'm going to go ahead and just read the shortened description for each one of these, because I do find that their messages are helpful. So we'll start with number 25 here. And it says, being open to receive is a way to gain empowerment, strength, and all manner of assistance. To enhance receptivity, it can be helpful to declutter and cleanse your energy field. This allows for that which is not rightfully yours to be shed. Sometimes this will include the disowned thoughts and feelings of others. When you release these thoughts and feelings, a spaciousness will grow within you. Then you can receive more of what is rightfully meant for you, your divine good in all ways. And so this really focuses on changing your receptivity from one of kind of guarded and protected waiting to one of moving forward and being receptive to what life will bring into you. So really moving forward from a place of optimistic curiosity again, of, ooh, if I get to share my cup with somebody else, what are they going to be able to share with me? How are they going to how are they going to join my new life view and what I'm building? And I think that that's really going to be where, when you step into that power, you're going to get rid of those ties that are associated to fear, where we are constantly looking at other people's reactions. We are afraid to get hurt again. We are afraid of, we carry with us, again, the wounds of others. But as we move forward as the hopeful optimist, as the hopeful romantic, and we tap back into not only showing ourselves the beauty of life again, but showing it to others, the people in our life who have hurt us and who are still living with hurt, their hurt will dissipate because we're stepping into our own abundance. We're tapping back into our own full cup, and we realize that the external world doesn't affect the fullness of our internal emotional world. And then we have past life activation. Past life activation, it says, you have talents within that have been developed through many varied life experiences. You have had many lifetimes already, even if you don't recall them consciously, helping you evolve and grow into the loving being that you are today. Your desire to grow in consciousness and spiritual power to assist the divine plan unfolding throughout the universe is heard and supported by the spiritual world in all ways. To this end, past life material is being activated now for your benefit and the greater good. And I really do feel like this, whether you believe in past lives or not, this is really showing you that you are being pushed to step up into part of the divine plan for the next, I would say cultural, but I'd say more of the collective human experience, the next change. So there's been a lot of change over the past 200 years in the collective experience. And a lot of that change had to do with the rational mind, with physical, tangible innovation. And I really do feel that moving now into this next century, we are moving forward into innovation on a spiritual level, change on a spiritual and emotional plane that we have not touched on in a few centuries. And that Taurus as a sign is being asked to help the collective be okay with tearing down some of the structures we've had in place that have created safety and security on a large level, so that we can then show the beauty of why change is needed and how to build from a place of being able to see the divine design, of being able to come from a place of heart-centered romanticism and a place to see the beauty beyond just what is, but what can be. So Taurus this month, specifically on June 10th, moving into June 11th, if you can release the fear of showing your truest self and release the fear of having to put yourself back out into the world again as you are today in this very moment. If you can step into being vulnerable and the vulnerability that comes with being the hopeless romantic, being the Pollyanna, then what you'll see come in for you and blossom around the relationships, the people that come in for support, and the way you're able to manifest moving forward, it's going to heighten it's really going to shed a spotlight for the second half of this year as to an ability of yours that's going to come into play that is needed. More than just the overarching Taurus energy of needing to relate to beauty and showing the lovely optimistic side of life, and that there are new ways to do old things, but that there's going to be specifically for the individual, there's going to be something highlighted, an old ability, an ability that is probably laid dormant, whether it is from a past life and you do believe in that, or whether it's something that from childhood you might have repressed and forgotten about, and now you're going to have a spotlight shed on that, and you're going to be asked in this month to dust that off, work with it again, and continue to work with it for the second half of this year, so that moving into 2022 you can really work with it, that it'll become part of your next evolutionary phase, that whatever this ability is, this is what you are going to then be utilizing to bring in abundance for yourself, utilize to bring in emotional fulfillment and joy, and to be of service to others. All right, Taurus, I hope this has been a helpful reading for you. There is a link to my website in the description box below for anyone who would like to have an individual personalized tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session. And I look forward to seeing you guys all again in July. Bye. Hi, all my lovely Virgos. So this is your reading, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the new moon portal that is going to be happening on June 10th. And I'm going to jump right in, since I did kind of go into more detail about that in the intro video, if you guys haven't already seen that. So Virgos, I'm going to start with reminding you of kind of what your birthright is being a Virgo. And this does not mean just for sun sign Virgos. This is also for those of you who have moon placements in Virgo and Virgo as your rising sign. So how I like to look at our relationship between our astrological signs and our unique internal spiritual self is that we were each born with a specific, what I like to call, set of, almost gifted with a set of abilities that come from this archetypal energy that we get from our major placements, our astrological signs, and our major placements in our chart. And Virgo, what you were gifted with at birth was the ability to tap into being the healer of the zodiac. And when I say of the zodiac, I mean of the human collective experience. You have the ability uniquely, and when I say uniquely, I mean separate from all of the other signs, to tap into this power of healing. And it is combined with the ruling planet of the sign of Virgo, which is Mercury. And Mercury is a sign of communication. It's a sign of information. And so you're able to tap in as a Virgo, as your birthright, to not only the gifts of healing, but the gifts of communication, and that you can actually heal through your mode of communication. And communication doesn't just stop at verbalizing. Communication can take many forms. Communication nowadays can be online. Communication can be nonverbal. It can be physical. Communication can actually happen through creativity. And so you guys have this unique ability to be able to communicate the principle of healing just through whatever mode of communication most suits you. And then this is where the dynamic between your internal self. So when I also like to talk about, the kind of play between destiny and our free will. So the signs that you were born under really is destiny. It's your external environment dictating something that is outside of your control. And then we have something that's within our control, something that's unique to us, which is our unique abilities, our abilities beyond things like astrological signs or beyond where we were raised or beyond our education. They are unique to us in that they exist without those other aspects, without the external aspects. And so these are things like your unique hopes and dreams as well. So things like, I would love to be a painter. Not everybody would love to be a painter. Or I have this desire to help heal the natural world through animal adoption. And that's a passion of mine. Well, not everybody loves animals. And so these unique abilities and desires and propensities are at play with then the overarching destiny component to your makeup. So what we're going to be looking at here today is really what this portal is going to be asking you as a Virgo to step into, to also help unlock your unique, individual, singular gifts. So we're going to start here. How the reading is laid out is that this is going to be what you're sitting with, the energy that you're sitting with right now. This is the portal. This is the doorway. This is the energy that Spirit is asking you to tap into to move forward. And this is on the other side of the doorway. This is the glimpse into your destiny and the glimpse into the higher, more spiritually evolved version of yourself, where you get to tap into and utilize and put to service for the greater collective the ability to heal through your unique form of communication. And then down here, we're going to engage with, you guys actually got two cards here, so it's kind of a little different setup. But we have cards here for the 3 principles of the triad of engagement, which are curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And this is a tool, the triad of engagement is a tool that I work with in my private practice that I have found helps unlock that relationship between our internal selves and our external environment to help us be able to step into a place of power where we really understand that we are the ones that make the decisions in our lives, we are the ones that take action, and how best to take action in an authentic way to ourselves. So we will look at these as well. And then up here is really where Spirit is calling you. It's your destiny. It is showing you this glimpse of your connection between yourself and the divine. Okay, so Virgo, your spread is a beautiful one. We are going to be looking at what you are needing to release in order to be able to step forward and receive your almost like ticket of service to the greater all, and to receive what we are all here to receive, which is emotional fulfillment and our ability to understand our place and purpose. So right now, the energies that you're working between, so your underlying energy on this side of things is the 7 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles is really a place where we have this opportunity to stop and to take a look at how far we've come in growing something specific in our tangible reality. So this would be basically a moment to have to stop and take stock of your life or a large project you've taken on, or how far you've come in a specific area that you've been working towards. The number 7 specifically in numerology really focuses on the connection to spirit. And so this is kind of that opportune moment for you to take a look at what is, what you put effort into, has manifested because of that. And now to check in with your relationship to spirit to say, does this feel right? Is this what I was expecting? I planted a seed thinking I was going to have an apple tree, but now I have a chance to stop, take a step back and realize, well, this is not an apple tree. This is a cherry tree. And is that really what I want to continue to put my effort and energy into? And do the cherries that are coming from this tree, do they resonate with me in my spiritual path? And this image specifically really shows this in kind of almost like the shadow version of that energy, of seeing almost in a dejected way that what you've been putting energy towards has come to nothing. That the plant that you've planted is, instead of a beautiful field bearing fruit, it is a barren wasteland. And as we move through the portal, the other energy on the opposite side is the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands can be an equal card of kind of bearing, it is a card of feeling the weight of bearing the burdens of your passions and taking action. And in that card specifically, in this depiction, it shows a girl setting out with her oxen laden down with heavy stuff, and they're going off on this road alone. Now you think, okay, well, I'm moving from this through the portal and that's what I'm moving towards. Well, the beauty of that energy is that it's the completion of a cycle. It's the Ten of Wands. So you have gone as far as you can go. And this is really where we have to look through the energy and release to be able to understand that the Ten of Wands can be seen two ways. The Ten of Wands can be seen as the burden that we carry for others, and that we have to take this on and we have to go on this journey alone. Or it can be seen as, this is what we're bringing to our final destination, and we can simply let the burden down, and we can release that to move freely into starting the next cycle, which starts with the One. And the One that comes after the Ten of Wands is the Ace of Wands, and that is the spark of new passion, of new inspiration. And so that's what you're being asked to move into, is to take a look at what you have in your current environment, and where now you can move through this portal to release what you've been carrying, to be able to receive the Ace of Wands that the universe is trying to give to you. But at this point, they can't because you're carrying the burden. You're not releasing what you need to release. And so here with these additional cards, you have the Three of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Sun. All beautiful cards together. This is a card of kind of having your ships come in. It's a card of you've put some energy with passion and action towards something, and now you're waiting to see what will come in from these action. However, it is a card of waiting. And the Nine of Cups is a card of understanding and feeling that you have 9 full cups. The cups tie directly to our emotional core. It's feeling a sense of pride in and some fulfillment in what we have in our current environment, but it's also seen as the wish card. It's where we make that wish for that 10th cup. And the 10th cup is the happy family. It's the ultimate emotional fulfillment. It's that feeling of, I have everything. And that can mean something different for everybody. It doesn't have to be the happy family. That can be, emotional fulfillment from the career that we decide to take on. It can be emotional fulfillment from the friends and family we surround ourselves with. It can be emotional fulfillment from where we choose to live. But again, this is kind of a card of we are making that wish, and the sun coming forward is illumination. This is the freedom of being able to see your truest self. And there is this component here of wanting very badly for things to turn out right. Wanting very badly to turn on the light and maybe see that the Seven of Pentacles that you see right now is this barren wasteland where you had tried to plant, your seeds, to see it in a different perspective. And I think what's happening here is that you had put action towards something and had been waiting for the external environment to come in with something that you had, again, been putting energy towards. And you had made a wish, but now there's an element of illumination coming through where you're beginning to see yourself. You're beginning to see yourself in relation to why you are not happy with what you are currently experiencing in your physical environment. And when we've come from a place of kind of waiting and wishing, and then we're struck by the realization of, this isn't really what I wanted. I wanted a beautiful apple orchard, and instead I have a barren wasteland. Well, that's not where we then stop and hold ourselves back. Instead, this is that divine pause. This is your communication with spirit. This is your moment of illumination where you're being told, it's okay to walk away from that. It's okay to release that. Maybe you thought that this was your passion. Maybe you thought that this was the right path. Things can change. You can change. You can grow and evolve. And perhaps now, when we look at what we had wanted and what we have now, that it just doesn't feel right. And that's fine. Because what Spirit's asking you to release is that element of trying to make something work that up until now hasn't worked. And now you have the illumination to see why. If you can tap into the energies that they're talking about here. Now, I thought this was very interesting. We have number 37 and number 38. And 37 in numerology breaks down to the number 10. And then to the number 1. And then 38 breaks down to the number 11. So you're harnessing the two energies of the portal. The new Moon Solar Eclipse on June 10th, and then moving in and harnessing the best version of yourself moving forward into the 11th. So it's almost like taking stock of what you're releasing and moving into what you should be embracing and what is going to help you receive this new heightened version of self. So we have here with the number 37 reducing to the number 10, and the number 1 is the third chakra, which is Archangel Chamuel. And the third chakra is our solar plexus chakra. This is kind of it is the seat of our ego. It is where it is what and who we are. And I think what I'm seeing here is that you're being asked to really check in, to say, okay, who are you? And where have you been acting from a place of ego? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We all need to have that part of ourselves. We all need to have this part of ourselves where we are confident in who we are, confident in the knowledge of ourselves, and having that illumination of self. But where have perhaps you been pushing from a place of, I was expecting something that was going to represent who I was, who I am, who I want to be seen as. And then you're being asked to move into, through the number 11, the portal number, the number between you and truly getting a glimpse of the highest version of yourself, is the fourth chakra, Archangel Raphael, which is the heart chakra. And so you're being asked to kind of level up. You're going up the chain of your chakras, going from a place of, okay, yes, you know who you are, you understand where you've acted in accordance with self, but now it's time to move into that heart-centered space, a place of love and a place of appreciation for yourself, so that as you move forward, you can then share that healing energy of love with others in the communication form that you are going to be able to kind of identify and heighten for or identify and illuminate for yourself. So this is a really important portal. On the 10th and 11th, you're going to have this ability to see yourself and move into this place of self-love, of self-acceptance. That if you can really release this need of feeding the ego, this need of, but I have to keep planting here because I bought this plot of land, and even though now I see it's barren, now I see that all this work and effort I've put in has, not changed the soil. All the seeds I purchased were not meant for this location. I still paid for it, and I can't walk away from it, and I have to keep waiting for something to come in, instead of realizing and letting that part of you really coming to terms with knowing yourself, but knowing where you can release this tie that ties in directly to your ego. Maybe you did, put in all of your money into this. And that can happen. We can put all of our eggs in one basket and think this is it. But it doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to change or that we have to be stuck with this. Instead, you can look at it simply as moving into a place from the heart-centered space is, man, I should be proud of myself for making the sacrifice and taking the risk to invest in something up until this point, to buy that plot of land, to buy the seeds that I planted, to take the time that I did. And no, not everything comes out the way that we were expecting. But the beauty of life is that once we realize that, once we have the illumination of the sun to see that, we can then make that choice to change, to take a different course of action. We are not tied to this barren wasteland. Instead, by coming into a place of heart-centeredness and not beating yourself up, as Virgos are wont to do, sometimes you guys can be overly perfectionist. Instead of beating yourself up about it, saying, I'm going to take what I can from this and I'm going to move forward. I'm going to find a way to sell this land, or I'm going to hang on to it and try to find another use for it. But in the meantime, I'm going to move forward in possibly planting my seeds in another location. Because what's on the other side of this doorway is the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups is a beautiful card of reconnecting on an emotional level to the gift of yourself from the past. It's where we get to connect with the more pure version of ourselves, where we get to go back and get a gift, a gift of being able to remember either some time in your past when you truly felt this beautiful emotional connection of self to your external environment, or whether it's simply going back to remember the best parts of yourself. And that's really what you're being asked to do here, is to release this element of, I know who I am, this is who I am, this is how I am, to coming back to a heart-centered place of being curious as to perhaps that is who you are, but now we need to come back to remember who you were. And we're going to bring that part of yourself forward. That part of yourself that's not tied to some type of regret. that part of yourself that deserves to have almost that innocent, childlike, emotional connection to life again. And we move into strength in the Emperor. And the strength is a beautiful card. It's a card of being able to understand that strength doesn't always come from pushing. It doesn't always come from standing on top of the mountain and roaring as the lion. It comes from grace, from internal grace, of self-understanding, of understanding that sometimes what's more powerful is a simple gesture, is that piece of communication that's not yelling from the rooftop and forcing everybody to listen. It's the strength to simply stand tall in the knowledge of self. In that it's better to, instead of, talking over somebody and saying a million words, sometimes it's better to sit in silence and say one pointed word or joining the conversation with, when it's the right time. But it's showing that strength is truly internal. This is an internal show of strength. And that this is the reminder of, Spirit wants to remind you that as you move forward, you are a strong person and always have been. But you might have gone a little astray, trying to feed the ego monster, trying to build something that perhaps wasn't right for you. And now you're being shown that you are the Emperor. You're being reminded that you have, through reharnessing this internal strength and reminding yourself of your best qualities, of who you were before everything kind of got in the way, before life got in the way. Who were you as that child? What did you, I think sometimes we forget the things that we've done. We forget that we, at some point in our childhood, were obsessed with knitting, and we knitted 100 things in the span of 3 months, and we were so into knitting, and we taught ourselves how to do that, and we impressed our family and friends. Or we forget that we went through this period where we were really into animals and wanting to, volunteer at an animal shelter. And we were so involved in that. Or that we put together a charitable, maybe not organization, but we found something that we were interested in. Because kids will often just get really wildly interested in a specific, very niche area and then just want to fearlessly do it. They'll come home and ask, like, hey, Mom and Dad, can I start a club around this? Can I start an organization around this? And okay, sure, sweetheart. And sometimes we look back and we forget that we did that as a child, that we had this internal strength and courage to harness this innocent aspect of self that directly tied our internal self to our external environment in a positive way. That didn't come from a place of ego. That didn't come from, I want to have this club because I want to be the the boss of it. It's that I want to have this club because I really want others to join in the love of whatever this area is, or to help in this specific area. And that's really kind of where you're bridging. You're releasing this need of trying to be a specific version of yourself and moving into this reminder of what makes you unique. What makes you unique without the ego. What seems just fun. Because you are the Emperor. And this is side by side with the Tower. And what I'm seeing here is that realization alone of realizing, wait, I have the power. I the realization of something from your past that is coming back in, that if you can break this kind of almost like a true mask, that you've layered a mask on top of yourself of who you think you needed to be, of who you've thought up until this point you had to show yourself as. And if you can break that mask down and reconnect with this beautiful version of your original self and the inner strength that you know you have, you get a chance to realize, I've been the emperor all along. I have that power to actually go back and reconnect with the fact that I wanted to own my own animal shelter when I was a child. And I somehow, was able to raise money in my community at the time. And I volunteered for 3 years with a local animal shelter. And I can go back and tap into those gifts of community organization and working with others, and maybe getting back in and exploring my love of animals. And this is what's going to bring that tower moment of, oh my gosh, I built this faulty tower for myself. I thought I needed to be seen as this. And in reality, I can be seen as whatever I want to be seen, because my life is my empire and no one else is going to live it for me. And no one else external to myself has the power to live my life for me, but also to impact how I see myself and what will feel authentic to me to achieve. And directly followed by that, you have the Four of Wands, which is a beautiful card of stability and a time to pause and celebrate working with your passions, what you can create, the foundation that you can create through working with your passions, and being able to celebrate that with others. And then we get to the Ten of Wands, where this is where you get a chance to release, where you release the burden of the tie to the mistake. And what will come in is the Ace of Wands. What you're tapping back into here, what you're reminding yourself of, what you're opening your heart back up to, is this pure, vulnerable version of self that Spirit wants to remind you is you, is what you need to bring out into the world now. And they will gift you with that. What the seed that's lying within here is the seed of your eternal flame, is the seed of inspiration. So you get to leave this behind and plant a new seed, but from a place now of real empowerment. Not false empowerment, but real empowerment, where the false sense of ego is released and the most beautiful, vulnerable version of you is brought back out. So that then you can work with your gifts of healing and actually being able to communicate healing or be able to express healing through your unique form of communication. And I think really where, as you sit and you tap back into yourself and the strength of yourself, you're going to find your voice again. You're going to find whatever form is your unique communication in this lifetime. And that's how you're going to learn to be of service. That's where you're going to realize, I thought I had to be this, but in reality, all I have to be is myself. And in that form of communication that feels right and authentic to me, that is where I will build that foundation. It's okay to let the tower of kind of the false pretense, the false wish fall, because what's on the other side of that is a new foundation built on passion, on my passion, on heart-centered passion. And coming down here into the triad of engagement to kind of help you be able to release, to be able to receive, we have surrendered to your soul's path. It says your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. And we have surrendered to passion. It says get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. And I think that this is beautiful. This is exactly what you're being asked to do, is release your tie to what you think should have been. Even if you've sunk in your entire life savings, even if you spent the last 5 years trying to build this, what Spirit is saying is it was built on a false foundation. It was built on a place where you lost touch with yourself. And if you simply surrender right now, you release your tie to this outcome, and you surrender to the fact that there is a unique path for your soul. And you surrender at the same time to passion, to reconnecting passion with emotion. And together that will reconnect you with your unique spirit. That is the gift that will come in. So when you put down those 10 wands, you will be given that gift of the Ace of Wands, which is the spark of passion, the spark of inspiration from the divine. So that's what you're being asked to do, to surrender in full knowledge that all that's needed right now is for you to remember who you are. And to step into your power as the Emperor, but the Emperor who is ruling from a place of heart-centered connection, love for self, and being able to communicate that love of others in a healing way. And for your seat of courage, you're being asked to have the courage to co-create. You're being asked to have the courage to, and this card is about co-creating with Spirit. That we have a leopard here and an owl. They're two very different animals. One can fly and one can run very fast along the ground. But together, what they can create is much more than what they can create if they both stay independent. So the owl can have this ability to fly and see a grander perspective, which I see as Spirit. And the leopard has the ability to go down onto the ground and quickly be able to make something happen. To basically, and this could be a leopard, it could also be a cheetah. I apologize if it's a cheetah. But either way, both animals are very fast. Both animals are able to navigate. They can jump into, they're very agile animals. And so what I see with this is it's coming back into that balance of realization that it's not all about you. Spirit has a play in our lives as well. The external environment, our destiny comes into play with our free will at key times throughout our lives. And this is one of those times. And so you're being asked to have the courage to realize that this is one of those times where it can't just be all about you, and you can't also feel that you're on your own. You're being asked to drop the pretense and to move forward and trust, have faith that moving into that, releasing this and surrendering to what feels good is going to bring you into this place of power. It's going to bring you back into this place of working with your passions. It's going to bring you back into this place of working with your passions in a good way. And I hate to use good and bad because those are relative, obviously, and our perspectives of good and bad are each unique to us. But what I think mean in a good way in this context is in a pure way, where in a way that allows you to capitalize on your ability to heal. through your mode of communication. And that's really what you're being asked to do, is that perhaps you were already working with one of your gifts over here, but you were not working with it in a way that was pure, that was going back to your original self. And now you have that ability to go back and bring this element into it so that it really can be of service to more people. And we have, for your principle of contemplation, we have study. And it says, Spirit has its own special way of letting you know that it's time to study again. From time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. This is an opportunity to expand your mind. And this is a beautiful point of contemplation. So if we're looking at contemplation as an area where we can reflect and integrate and the seat of continued self-learning, where perhaps, when you think about Spirit has its own special way of letting you know that it's time to study again. Well, this doesn't always mean that we have to go back to school, but it does mean that we should be open to new knowledge. And I love the line that says, from time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. Well, sometimes we can, again, take what we've already done and be able to tweak it and see it in a new way, to apply a different feeling to it, to get back to the core of who we are and have the strength to understand our why, and to really be open to looking at, again, what we have now currently and seeing as we move forward what is new to us. Almost coming with that element of I know nothing. I thought I've been working so long with this mask of ego that in washing that away and stepping forward as this fresh, heart-centered being, I need to really release those ties to this is what I know and step into a place of I'm ready to be a student again. I'm ready to put down my 10 wands and receive the wand of passion, to receive the fresh start, the fresh piece of inspiration. And I'm ready to reflect on what is an area of my life that I can see as new. And maybe this does mean that you do take up a new course, or you find somebody who can help lend an alternative perspective to this new inspiration coming in. But I look at it more as it's a beginner's mindset. You're being asked to look at yourself with fresh eyes and to look at your gifts with fresh eyes. What else can I do with my gifts that is both authentic and beneficial and healing to both myself and to be of service to the greater collective? And then we have reassurance of the golden light, number 36. And I'm going to go ahead and read the short description for this. So each one of these cards comes with a pretty lengthy description, but I do just like the kind of recap at the beginning. So I'll read this for you guys. It says, this golden light comes to you as a gift of grace and reassurance. It is an embrace from the universe, an expression of divine comfort, and a sign of hope. When the golden light appears, it is a sign that everything in your life, even the most troubling matters, is going to work out perfectly. They are held in the graceful hand of the divine and will be resolved more swiftly and beautifully than you might expect. And I think that that's beautiful. This is really in alignment with what we're seeing here. This return to the understanding that you're not in it alone. And that you're being asked to bring this element. Actually, when you think of the energy of love, love is the most healing energy. It encompasses the energy of forgiveness. It encompasses the energy of acceptance. It encompasses the energy of receptivity and openness, both within yourself and to your external environment, to others. And you're being reassured right now that what you're feeling and seeing and afraid to release, if you can move into this place of heart-centeredness and this reconnection with your original self, that Spirit's asking you to co-create with them and to start with this beginner's mindset, to walk forward on June 11th as the student, from a place of humility, from a place of being curious. Where is my life going to take me? I'm not bound by the 10 wands. I'm not bound by my past mistakes anymore. I'm free to be the emperor of my empire. I'm free to tear down the tower and build a fresh foundation from my passions. And this is Spirit telling you this is part of the divine plan. This is that crux moment for you to really step back into your power. And they're going to work with you. They're going to take what you feel is perhaps a failure in the moment and turn it into something, turn it into the gift that it was meant to be. But you have to release your tie to the outcome of this and step into this pure version of self so that you can then receive the gift of inspiration, the gift of new inspiration, which then you move forward with that beginner's mindset. Beautiful reading, Virgo. I hope that June is a really self-illuminating month, a month where you fall back in love with yourself, and a month where you remember the best qualities of just you as a unique individual. And I look forward to doing your readings for July and seeing just how far you guys have come. All right, bye, Virgos. Hi, all my wonderful Capricorns. Welcome to your new moon solar eclipse, June 10th, 2021 reading. Now, for those of you who want to go a little bit more in depth into kind of why this new moon is so important, there is at the beginning of this reading, I go a little bit more into detail in that regard. But for those of you who have jumped right in, here is your reading. Now, this reading specifically is looking to highlight an area that Spirit is asking you to release in order for you to be able to step through this portal and receive the gift, the spiritual gift from the divine, which will call into play your birthright as a Capricorn, as having Capricorn somewhere in one of your major placements. And when I look at talking about Capricorn and your birthright as a Capricorn, I'm talking about the gifts of the sign of Capricorn. So each one of the zodiac signs comes with its own unique set of gifts that are meant to be of service to the greater collective. And these are meant then to kind of come into play and work with your unique individual gifts and abilities, hopes and dreams as the singularity that you are. And this is one of those rare times in our lifetime where we get this chance to kind of be called up, to elevate our spiritual selves, to tap into why we were born with Capricorn in one of our major placements, or more than one, and how we're meant to work with those energies, those unique energies that need to be fulfilled and integrated into the collective experience, but how we can also utilize our own unique, basically use those to tap into and elevate our own unique abilities and hopes and dreams. And this is the reading that's going to help kind of clarify that for you. So we have everything here on this side, which is what you're currently sitting with. And then on this, we basically have your portal here and the energy that you're working with. And what is the glimpse on the other side of this portal, this doorway, into your spiritual, your higher spiritual path. If you can find the courage to make the decision to release some aspect that you're being asked to allow for this new gift from Spirit to come in. So the two energies that you're working with, and actually I'm sorry, I forgot to explain. The cards down here are going to help integrate and bring in the triad of engagement. We have pulled one card for curiosity. You guys got 3 cards for courage and 1 for the principle of contemplation. Now the triad of engagement is a tool that I work with in my private practice, that I utilize these 3 principles to help unlock the potential that comes from integrating your internal authentic self with your external environment. And then we have up here a message from the divine, something that is, basically, in addition to getting a glimpse of what is on the other side of this portal, this is really going to highlight what you're being asked, an extra message from the divine, kind of why they're asking you to release at this moment and what they're hoping to bring in for you and how this kind of all connects with your divine purpose. So the 2 energies that you're working with here on either side of the doorway, we have your underlying energy of the High Priestess on this side, and we have the energy of the Hanged Man on the other side. And I find this very interesting because the High Priestess is a very important card in the Major Arcana. It is the card of true internal knowing. It is being in confident connection with Spirit, in understanding that through our intuition, we have the ability to make decisions and see clearly for ourselves. The card itself is the number 2, and it does denote being able to make a decision from based on internal knowledge, based on your internal direct connection to Spirit. And on the other side, we have the Hanged Man, which is being gifted with an alternative perspective of everything from the divine. So both are divine, basically both tap into your ability to connect with Spirit, to gain knowledge, and to be able to see life in a very specific and clear way. One is truly internal, and the other is guided by the external, meaning that oftentimes the Hanged Man can denote a pause so that you have this chance to see what Spirit is trying to show you more on an external level. It's kind of like what the picture shows, you hanging upside down to see what is in a new way, and then gaining clarity through that. And so you have this really unique ability with this portal opening up to move from a place of intuition and knowing what is right for you, and being able to move into this alternative, fresh perspective of life. Both guided by the divine, but one in which is more passive and one in which is more engaged. And right now what I'm seeing you sitting with is the 9 of Swords, the 2 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Swords. This is the card of worry. This is the card of sleepless nights. It's tied directly to our thoughts. And as you can see, it looks like this guy is, being attacked by swords, although the swords are coming from some imaginary place. We don't actually see where the swords are coming from, because in reality, this card is an illusion. It's the thoughts that keep us up at night, but not the actual things that, it's the illusion of the monster under the bed. It's the illusion that comes with asking yourself, worrying over the 100 what ifs, when in reality we can never predict the outcome. And it's also the worry when we have a negative thought pattern kind of ingrained in us, where the what ifs always come with a negative connotation. So what if, instead of saying, what if I win the lottery tomorrow, and what if I have one of the best days at work ever, and what if I choose to take this action and I get the money that I want, or I get the positive reaction, we instead fall into this place of where every what if we have is followed by some negative outcome or possibility. So it's more of the, well, what if I make the choice to change jobs and I no longer can support my family? What if this person gets elected to office? then most likely my whole life is going to change and the country's going to go to ruin. I mean, this is the extent to what the Nine of Swords can create for ourselves. And it's coupled with the Eight of Swords, which is a card of basically, and I don't know if you guys can see the image on here, but it's people who look like they're trapped within their own thoughts. So they're kind of stuck wandering among the swords placed there, but what they don't realize is that they can easily walk out of here. They don't have to stay trapped within these swords. There is no external element of their environment holding them back, except what they are rationalizing and creating within their own mind. And in between these two cards of mental entrapment and negativity is the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles is the low, kind of almost shadow version of the High Priestess, where she can sit quietly, tap into her intuition, and make a decision with full faith that it's correct for her. The Two of Pentacles denotes juggling in the tangible world and not quite being able to make a decision because you're so preoccupied with trying to do almost too much with the juggling. Instead of being able to put down one pentacle and really focus on one, you're trying to do it all. And so the decision ends up looking at two identical pentacles and you not having that emotional, intuitive connection to them. They're just these external things and you're just going through the motions of working with them. But there's no emotional tie to what you're doing. You're stuck in your head and in the physical going through the motions, and what's crying out to you right now is that you know the decision you want to make. And Capricorn, when we talk about the sign of Capricorn, you are a cardinal sign, so you get to tap into that cardinal energy of really being able to manifest in the tangible world. That is your unique gift. You guys have that ability to, if you can think it, you can make it happen. And you're very agile in how you can make that happen. You know, your sign is that of the goat. And that really shows you guys have the ability to be agile, to make it up the mountain, to find your own creative path to make it to the top of the mountain. And in addition to that, Capricorn is really focused and tied to kind of the home as well. That you guys have this ability to manifest beautifully in a home environment, in a family environment. And these are really your gifts that you bring to the greater collective, is your ability to make it happen. You know, other signs have this ability as well, but you tend to have again, the ability to manifest in the tangible, because you're an earth element, you're working with the physical world. So you have this ability through hard work and the steadiness that comes with working with earth energy, but you are a cardinal sign. So oftentimes you guys are pushed to step into leadership positions because of that element, because you're dealing with the cardinal element. You guys have this extra ability to really find that way to make whatever you want happen. So when I'm seeing this and seeing you trapped by your own thoughts and not able to manifest, it's showing me here that there's a part of your divine gift that is stagnating. And that spirit right now is trying to remind you, remember when you had confidence in your own ability to manifest for your own needs. Remember when you were able to take action from intuitive knowledge. It's what you're being asked to release at this point is the negative outward mental, basically it's not even outward, it's the negative internal thoughts. It's the false imprisonment of self that you've created in a mental space for yourself. It doesn't exist anywhere outside of yourself except within your own mind. And you cut yourself off with negative thinking from being able to tap in and harness your true power of being able to manifest in the physical world. Instead, you're stuck in this limbo of juggling and not even realizing what you're juggling and forgetting your own power. And so what Spirit's asking you to do here with Blossoming Abundance, which is a beautiful card, it's the number 3, which is mirroring the number 12 of the Hanged Man. The number 12 in numerology would reduce 1 plus 2 down to 3. And 3 for me personally is really the sign of divine intelligence, the divine plan. It's perfection no matter the perspective. That even when something doesn't look perfect, it's still perfect in its divinity. And it's still divine in its perfection, or in its lack of perfection. You can look at it from the 2 different perspectives of the Hanged Man. But Blossoming Abundance is showing me here that this is the energy of the portal for you. That you have, basically, that Spirit is saying, this is your birthright. This abundance. And there's fresh, new abundance coming through for you. It's waiting there. But what you have to do is you have to be able to see things in a different perspective. You have to be willing to release what the current what ifs, the current rationalizations, the current mental entrapment that you've created for yourself, and be willing to put down some of the things in your current life, to be able to stop and have this moment of divine pause so that you can take a look at, what am I actually even doing? What am I working towards? What do I want to manifest? And why am I not allowing myself to do that? Because on the other side of this doorway, we have the 8 of Wands, which is about movement. It's about passionate, quick movement. It's also about communication. It's about being able to actually, kind of create movement from a place of passionate communication. And we have the Ace of Swords, which is so beautiful. This is the sword of truth. And what Spirit is asking you to release this ghost of holding yourself back with these negative thoughts, to be able to come back to your own personal truth. There's only one sword in reality that any of us, I have an interesting look on the swords in the tarot. And in reality, how I see it is we're only ever working with one sword. And it's our personal truth. And it's what we were gifted with at the time of our creation as a singular, unique being to go out and work with. And it's what actually will allow us to be very successful and triumphant each time we learn how to wield it with a sense of personal awareness. And all of the other swords that come with the different cards and the 10 cycles of the swords and the air signs in the tarot, they're all elements of us moving through illusion, moving through thoughts that actually cloud and get in the way of our own personal, unique, singular truth. So the Two of Swords is when we believe that we have this decision to make that we can't make. It's a woman sitting blindfolded holding two swords. In reality, both swords are identical. And what we don't realize is that we always know our own truth. We always know which sword is ours. And that in that moment of indecision, it's not that we have two swords, it's the illusion that our one sword has been split in two. And it's this, and it goes from there. And so right after this, we have the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is when we realize that we can move on mentally, when we can transcend the Five of Swords, which is the illusion that we have to fight others to maintain our truth. That others might... It's the illusion that we have to win at all costs. Even if we have to kill people along the way or chase away, everybody that comes close to us with our own sword. Instead of learning how to wield the sword appropriately, we in turn believe that everybody else's sword is poised to fight ours. And the Six of Swords is the release of that illusion, to realize that we have the ability to transcend that we can move on to a place of peace with our sword. And that's really what I'm seeing here, is that you guys are coming back into this knowledge, if you can step through this portal, of you've always only had your one truth. And if you can remind yourself, if you can really release all of the illusions that you've created for yourself in your mind of I can't, or this won't happen, or the what ifs, if I choose to make this decision, if I choose to drop this one pentacle, or I put down doing this one task, that everything is going to fall apart. And in reality, that's not the case at all. Instead, what Spirit's asking you to do is to come back to this other side, where if you step through this portal, it's going to be quick moving energy. It's going to be where you get that communication, that piece of communication from the divine, that's going to propel you forward in working with your passion. I love the depiction of the Eight of Wands in this deck, and that it looks like it's multiple people holding up their individual Ace of Wands, their individual divine inspiration, and holding them together to kind of light the torch even brighter. And that's really what I feel for you guys, is that you are going to move out from this really dark kind of negative mental space and come back into a place where you're able to see your passion again and realize through that what your truth is and where you've been held back by this perception, this incorrect perception that you can't do something, that you can't manifest, that you can't step into your birthright and use your own gift of manifestation. And this is what's going to allow you to see your life from a different perspective and to see the opportunity that Spirit is waiting to communicate to you. But what it's asking you to do in releasing this negative thought pattern is that they're asking you to then be able to be in a place where you're going to reconnect with your personal truth by getting a gift of alternative sight from Spirit. And that's incredibly powerful. And we come down here to the Triad of Engagement. So we're working with the card that is engaging with your curiosity principle, your curiosity center, which is curiosity is about being open and receptive to your external environment, to the unknown, to breaking down basically the negative thought patterns. It's the curiosity is the place where we should be connecting with the positive version of what if instead of the negative version of what if. So think about going back in time to being the curious, optimistic child. And what it's saying here to be curious about is surrender your comparisons with other people. And it says, keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. And I think that really ties in beautifully with what you're releasing. That in being curious, where have you held yourself back in comparing yourself to other people? Where have you allowed comparisons to other people to create this space where you are mentally trapped? Now that can be something, when we compare ourselves to people, that can be where we compare ourselves to, what other people, it can take on many forms. It can be we're looking at other people with envy, or we're looking in comparison at, well, these people are this far in their career and I should be that far, so I can't leave a current place of work because no one else would do that. After 20 years of being in the same place, I should be here, so I have to keep working towards this, achieving this, whatever it is. And in reality, achieving that is not actually manifesting anything related to your personal truth. The reason why the goal is kind of eluding you is because you've blocked yourself off from your own intuition. You've blocked yourself off from passion. You're no longer connected to emotion in a way that connects you to your intuition, in a way that you find fulfillment in taking action. Instead, you're kind of in this loop of mental negativity and just going through the motions. And so even if you do stay at that job so that you can, basically keep up with your neighbors, keep up with the Smiths or whatever, even if you achieve that final end goal of, getting the promotion to whatever you're working towards, it's not going to feel any different, any better. In fact, you're probably just going to feel even more stressed because you're going to be juggling more. Or surrendering comparisons with other people can simply be, well, my family did it this way, and so I have to do it this way. I have to be the one that maintains this type of living style. Or comparisons to other people in the way that I want to go off and I don't really feel that I need to have money. I really feel like I want to manifest a life of adventure for myself that involves me traveling and kind of living this exciting lifestyle. But the other people in my life have stable lives. They all have homes. They all have stable careers. They all do this. And so I really can't follow that because I can't follow my passion. I can't actually tie back into my ability to manifest and actually take leadership and ownership in the realm of manifesting in the physical world, because I am really too afraid or I'm telling myself that if I follow that, it's going to have a negative outcome. And so I might as well just keep up with what everybody else is doing. And in reality, what this is asking you to do is to release that, to be curious about let's say there was nobody else. Let's say there was no family that you had to be responsible for, or there was no parents that were around to judge you, or there was no, other external needs to be met. What would you do? What would you be working towards? What would you be manifesting for yourself? And that's what this is asking you to be curious about, is to help you see that portal, that blossoming abundance, with the eyes of the fresh perspective of, I am a singular, unique being. So what I want, what I need, there is a reason behind that. And no, I don't have to keep up with the Joneses. And if I don't keep up with the Joneses, what ultimately do I really want to manifest for myself? And sometimes we don't even realize it. Sometimes we get so out of touch with that emotional connection to what we want for ourselves and what it feels like to work with coming from a place of passion and just doing the little things every day, that we, when given that opportunity to be curious about, well, what would you do if you could do anything? We don't know. It's hard to answer. And this is where I think Spirit's asking you why they're asking you to release this, because this is where you'll reconnect with your personal truth. And this is where you will gain that clarity once again of, oh yeah, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can manifest. And you're being called to do that because whatever you're going to be manifesting with your personal truth is important to what's to come with this, coming into the second half of the year, but specifically coming into 2022, which is a year of activation and actualization of our kind of divine destiny. And right now we're being asked to integrate and bring into play our free will to work with destiny to really unlock this heightened version of ourselves moving into 2022. And Capricorns, you're really going to be needed, especially because you're going to have this ability to manifest in the tangible. And your personal truth is going to need to be part of that. And for your seat of courage, you are being asked to co-create with Spirit. You have poised and deep knowing. And I think that this is beautiful. So this is really where you're tapping into courage to take that action to step through the portal. And what these cards denote here, co-create, is showing that you don't have to do it alone. In fact, you're being asked to not do it alone. You're being asked to co-create with Spirit. So this picture here shows a cheetah with an owl. And when you think of the owl has the ability to fly into the sky and be able to see the grander view, to be able to have a broader perspective. And the cheetah can go onto the ground and really get from point A to point B. To have that ability to move along the ground very quickly, just like the Eight of Wands is this passionate, quick movement. And so if you step into walking through this portal, Spirit's going to work with you to help you remember how to manifest very quickly. And they're going to be able to see the lay of the land and say, go this way. Go this way. And that's where you're going to find your sword, your Excalibur sword that you buried over there and you've forgotten about. And then we have Poised. And Poised is a beautiful card that really harnesses the energy of you are ready. You have everything at your disposal. No, you don't need to go back to school to learn something else. No, you don't need to worry that the decision you're making is it good or bad. It's that right now you're being asked to step into a portal of blossoming abundance. And that's beautiful. No other sign has received that card. And you're poised and ready, but this is where you have to take courage to enact, to basically bring into play your free will, to have courage to take action, to make that change, to change your perspective, to release these negative thoughts and step back into a place of living your own life from a place of confident knowing with your sword of truth. And then you have deep knowing, which brings into play the image of the owl again, which I love. This element of kind of almost you working with spirit, but also being reminded that you also are part of spirit. So not only can you work with the owl, with spirit as shown in the owl in an external way here, but you also have the owl within you. You are part of the owl. And there is some level of, you know which way to fly. You know you're ready for this change. What if it was just you? What would you create for yourself? What would you manifest in the tangible world here? What would you start working towards? What on a deep intuitive level do you know is the right decision for you to make? And are you ready to allow spirit to come in and show you a new perspective of that? Show you where this is needed. Show you why in making that decision and being courageous enough to do so, show you the place that you are meant to fill and the purpose behind your ability to manifest. And then for contemplation, we have find your center. And it says your outside world is a reflection and a manifestation of what's going on inside you at this time. When the outside world becomes so hectic and stressful that your anxiety starts to overwhelm you, then this is an ideal moment to stop and ask, when was the last time I checked in with myself? And I think that this is a beautiful kind of connection between these of finding again, tapping back into who you are. Contemplation is about reflection and integration. And it's the seat of spiritual growth, transcendence, self-education in learning through the consequences of our actions. And so you're being asked here to contemplate on who are you at your core? What is your center? If all else was taken away in your external environment, what would you want to do? If all the stressors and all the mental what ifs that come out as the negative worries that keep you awake at night, if all of those disappeared, what are you left with? What would bring you that feeling of peace and contentment and you manifesting? And how would you manifest that for yourself? And then we move into the Dark Angel up here. And I'm going to just read very briefly. So each one of these cards has a very lengthy description in the book that comes with the deck. But I'm just going to read the little synopsis. They each have a little starting paragraph that I think is beautiful. So number 30, the Dark Angel. It says, the Dark Angel comes to you with a radical truth. Divine love is always there for you without exception. Love will never forget you. It will never stop caring for you. Even when it seems most unlikely, in fact, especially then, the divine is reaching for you and nurturing you. Even our wounds are ways that we can discover love and divine grace through the healing process. The divine is always helping you remember who you are and find your true joy. When the dark angel appears, you are being given a gift of light, even if it may seem to be a hidden blessing. And I think really that that's what this is. That's that gift of passion. It's the gift of this new perspective. And yes, it may seem tough right now. You may be feeling like you're walking through darkness. Or that just in this very moment you realize that you've been disconnected from what you're doing. And now you're being asked to be brave and step into that place of possibility again. What if I get to manifest what I want to manifest for me? What if I get to tap back into my own birthright of my ability to do that? And what is it that I want to manifest? And I think very quickly what's going to come in is this communication, this divine, destiny-based communication that's going to make you go, oh yeah, that's it. That's what's at the core. That's my truth. And now I have the ability to move on from this illusion. I have the ability to move on, and I get a chance to see my inner truth from a different perspective. I get to see now its purpose. I've been so hidden, I so held myself back from what that was, that I get a chance to reconnect now with the true Excalibur sword. It is almost like this is what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing you stepping up to that rock and like the light coming down. And this communication is almost like somebody is going to come in. If you can be brave enough to move forward and not care what other people are going to think, and fearlessly release this kind of worry and ties to, well, what if I change what I do? What if I stop doing these tasks that I don't feel emotionally connected to? Well, then somebody's going to come out of the blue and say, hey, P.S., the stone with your sword of truth is over there. And you're like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, it's just right over there. Like, go pull your sword out. And you're going to be able to see it, walk over, pull your sword out of the stone, and suddenly it's going to bring to light that realization of, oh my gosh, I get to see how I get to utilize this. I remember my own power. And I get to use this now in service to the greater collective, because I'm going to manifest with great clarity. I get to manifest from a place of truth that is unique to me. Great reading, Capricorn. Easier said than done, I know. It's very hard to release, these mental structures that we create for ourselves that keep us imprisoned keep us held back from remembering that we can be curious, that every what if doesn't have to come with a negative outcome. That in fact, we can in turn change that to include every what if with a, oh my gosh, what if it's better than I can even imagine? What if Spirit has more in store for me? What if I haven't even touched on my own personal destiny and how I can step into that? It's the remembering that we each have an Excalibur, and we each have a stone that only we can pull out our sword of triumphant truth and revelation and success. And you're being asked to trust that you're going to be shown the way back to that. But you have to change your perspective. You have to change your perspective that everything is negative, that things are not going to work out. and that you have to, and that you're stuck kind of in this limbo of just doing and doing and doing and doing with no emotional connection to yourself. All right, Capricorns, I hope that this is an illuminating month for you. I hope that by the end of this month, you're holding your sword of truth. You are holding your Excalibur and are starting that journey coming into July. You're starting that evolution of remembering what it's like to work with that sword of truth. And you're starting to see how it can be of service to the greater collective. Have a wonderful rest of the month, and I will see you back here in July. Bye.